If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, eating well, exercising, but the scale just will not budge, you're so not alone. Turns out there's often a deep biological reason for that struggle, and it's right at the heart of why a new class of drugs like Ozempic has totally changed the game for weight management. So let's get into it and really unpack the science behind it all.
Here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll break down this hidden hormonal hurdle that we're calling the insulin trap. Then, we'll see how these new medications are basically hacking our body's hormones. We'll get to know the big names, Ozempic, Wegovy, and the like. After that, we need to have a really honest look at the side effects and risks. And finally, we'll zoom out and see where this all fits in the bigger picture of our health.
All right, so first up, let's talk about the core problem. For so many people, losing weight feels like this impossible uphill battle. And it's usually not about a lack of willpower. It's about your own biochemistry.
I mean, this is the question, right? Millions of people ask themselves this every day. If it was as simple as calories in, calories out, this should be easy. But the reality? It's way more complicated because our hormones, especially one called insulin, are playing a massive role in how our body decides to use and, more importantly, store energy.
And the main villain in this story is a condition called insulin resistance. The best way to think about it is like this. Your cells start to get kind of numb to insulin's signal to grab sugar from your blood. So what does your body do? Your pancreas panics a little and starts pumping out more and more insulin to get the job done. The result is you end up with chronically high levels of this hormone just circulating around.
And this, right here, is the piece of the puzzle that changes everything. We almost always hear about insulin with diabetes and blood sugar, but its other main job? It's to control fat storage. When your insulin levels are high, your body gets a loud and clear signal. Store fat, do not burn it. And check this out. You can see exactly how direct this is. This diagram shows a fat cell. See that insulin receptor on the right? When insulin docks there, it sends a signal that just slams the brakes on lipolysis. That's the fancy term for fat breakdown. So high insulin literally puts a lock on your fat cells, making it impossible for your body to access all that stored energy.
And this is where people get stuck in this awful, frustrating loop. Insulin resistance leads to high insulin. That high insulin tells your body to store more fat. And then, that extra body fat can actually make your insulin resistance even worse. It's a vicious cycle that, for many, is almost impossible to break with just diet and exercise.
So if the problem is hormonal, well, it makes sense that the solution might be hormonal too. And this brings us to this whole new class of drugs that don't just mess with calories, instead they work to completely retune your body's metabolic signals.
They're called GLP-1 receptor agonists. I know, the name is a total mouthful, but the idea behind it is actually pretty brilliant. These drugs work by copying a hormone our gut naturally makes when we eat. It's called GLP-1. So they're basically a supercharged version of something your body already knows how to do. And they don't just do one thing, they attack the problem from all these different angles. For starters, they cleverly tell your body to release insulin, but only when your blood sugar is high. They also slow down how fast your stomach empties, which is a huge reason people feel so much fuller for longer. Plus, they talk directly to your brain's appetite center to make you feel satisfied. And on top of all that, they tell your liver to chill out and release less sugar. It's like a total metabolic reboot.
You've heard the names everywhere, right? Ozempic, Wegovy, Mounjaro. It can get super confusing. So let's just take a second to clear up who's who in this new world of medications.
This table lays it all out pretty clearly. The active ingredient, semaglutide, well, that's what's in Ozempic for type 2 diabetes, but it's also in Wegovy for weight management. Same drug, different name, different dose. Then there's tirzepatide, a newer one. That's in Mounjaro for diabetes and Zepbound for weight management. You can see the pattern. The same molecules are often just branded differently depending on what they're approved for.
Now look, these drugs are without a doubt incredibly powerful. But that power comes with a price. So it's absolutely crucial that we have a clear-eyed look at the potential side effects and the risks involved here.
The stuff you hear about most often is all gastrointestinal. Things like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea. They're pretty frequently reported, especially when someone first starts the medication or when their dose goes up. The good news is that for a lot of people, these side effects do get better over time as their body gets used to it.
And of course, you probably heard the term Ozempic face. Now, this isn't actually a direct side effect of the drug itself. It's a consequence of losing a lot of weight really fast. When you lose that volume from your face so quickly, it can lead to that kind of hollowed-out look, and your skin might seem more saggy.
Okay, now we have to talk about the more serious stuff. These drugs carry what's called a boxed warning.
To be clear, that's the FDA's most serious type of alert. It's reserved for risks that are so significant that they need to be communicated loud and clear to both patients and doctors.
So that boxed warning is specifically for a risk of thyroid C-cell tumors, which was seen in studies with rodents. Because of that, these drugs aren't for people with a personal or family history of certain thyroid cancers. And there are other serious, though less common risks. Things like acute pancreatitis, gallbladder problems, and even reports of a severe form of stomach paralysis called ileus.
So, after hearing all that, the big question is, how should we think about these drugs? Let's zoom out for this last section and try to put it all into the bigger picture of our long-term health.
And honestly, this might be the most important takeaway of all. As revolutionary as these medications are, we have to see them for what they are, a powerful tool. They are not a magic bullet, and they are definitely not a replacement for the basic, foundational habits that build a healthy metabolism in the first place.
All right, take a look at this number, 350 calories. Any idea what that represents? It's not about cutting calories from what you eat. It's actually about what you burn.
That's right. There was this amazing study that found that just burning a modest 350 calories, we're talking low-intensity exercise here, was enough to make a big improvement in insulin sensitivity that lasted into the next day. It just goes to show you how responsive our bodies can be to even pretty small changes.
And that reminds us that we have so many other powerful tools in our toolbox. Building muscle with weight training is huge because muscle just soaks up blood sugar. Eating balanced meals, choosing high-quality carbs like veggies over refined junk, and even just trying to eat around the same times each day, all of these things can help lower your baseline insulin and fight the root cause of the problem.
And that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. Are these drugs a truly groundbreaking medical revolution that's going to solve our health crisis? Or are they a massive red flag that our modern world has pushed our metabolic health to a breaking point, where we're now turning to powerful drugs to fix a problem that maybe lifestyle should have managed all along? The real answer is it's probably a bit of both.